In today's session, I'm going to discuss a few more solved descriptive questions and answers. The first question is from Sania. Ma'am, please answer this question. Yes, Sania, I'm answering this question for you and for our dear students. Referring closely to the short story, The Singing Lesson, how do the science mistress and the principal contribute to Miss Meadows' feeling of angst? And then Pranav Dikshit asked a question, what is the meaning of feeling of angst? Angst is a new word, it is a difficult term. You must know certain words from the texts because these words are necessary in order to understand a particular short story or a poem or an episode from your play, The Tempest. Now, what is the feeling of angst? I have tried to explain what is the meaning of angst. Angst is a feeling of deep anxiety or dread, your tension and your fear, typically an unfocused one about the human condition or the state of the world in general. You just feel anxious, you feel worried, you feel tensed without any reason. It is about your life, it is about the state of things in general. This is the meaning of angst. This is a new word, learn the word. Now the answer. Before starting today's discussion, I would like to give you a piece of advice. Attempt all questions. No matter what, you are going to finish your paper. If you know a particular answer, for example, you know 6 points, but you do not have time, write 2 or 3 points, but finish your answer and then move on to the next one. Coming back to this question, referring closely to the short story, The Singing Lesson, how do the science mistress and Miss Watt contribute to Miss Meadows' feeling of angst, her fear, her anxiety? Let's read and I'll explain. Miss Meadows is a self-conscious character who is concerned about her public image. You cannot write this answer without mentioning this point. This point is the most essential key element of the answer. Therefore, this has to be mentioned specifically at the beginning. She is 30 years of age and her fiancé Basil has ended their engagement. She is filled with despair and hides it from everyone at the music school. She fears that others may come to know about her deep secret, that at 30 she has a broken engagement. You need to write this, and then we will focus on the science mistress and her role in contributing to Miss Meadows' angst. Let's read, hugging the knife of her angst. So she is hiding the sharp pain, the deep wound of her angst, anxiety, tension, trouble. She speaks to the science mistress rudely. She finds her pretentious. Another difficult word, new word. What is the meaning of pretentious? Fake, F-A-K-E. Some of you are complaining that, ma'am, you use difficult words. My dear students, you are in class 12 and if I use a certain new word, try to learn that. Google the meaning and try to learn a new word. There is no harm in it. If you get that in the question, then if you do not know it, you will not be able to answer the question properly. So, work hard and just go with an open mind. Hugging the knife of her angst, she speaks to the science mistress rudely. She finds her pretentious and wonders if she noticed Miss Meadows' despair. This is her fear. Perhaps she expects hostility from the school community. She can never face the science mistress and will have to disappear somewhere. In this way, the science mistress contributes to Miss Meadows' angst. I have referred to this portion very briefly because I need to mention about Miss Watt also. In this way, manage the length of your answers. I don't know what will come. If a particular portion from a lengthy answer comes, then adjust accordingly. You will have to use a little bit of common sense. Miss Watt is a spinster. Now again, what is the meaning of spinster? An unmarried woman is a spinster, and here Miss Watt is also a spinster. Miss Meadows feared that the school community will judge her for not marrying contributes to her angst. She deliberately uses the word fiancé while speaking to Miss Watt to show that she will not remain unmarried like the latter. She has to prove that. Although her engagement is broken, there is nothing to worry about. Why? Because Basil has written a telegram and she will get married soon. When Miss Watt handed her the telegram, she feared Basil had committed suicide, and that would have been the end of all possibilities of getting married, because being a middle-aged woman, it is most unlikely that she will ever find a good marriage prospect in her life. This is my answer, my interpretation. You are free to adjust the length, so don't panic. Moving on to the next question. Jainam Shah asked me to bring out the significance of the game of chess in Act 5 of The Tempest, and we have Ratrika also asking the same question. The significance of chess play between Ferdinand and Miranda. Now I have tried to bring out the significance of the game of chess in The Tempest. Some of you feel that this is not important. This has no symbolic significance. Let's see what is the significance, if there is any. Prospero shows Alonso, Ferdinand and Miranda playing at chess in Act 5, Scene 1 of The Tempest. Miranda complains that Ferdinand is playing foul. I have quoted from the text, and Ferdinand claims his innocence. Miranda replies that she loves him so dearly that even if he disputed with her for a high stake as a score of kingdoms, she will call it fair play. They are cheerful, deeply in love, and are in a playful mood. So this game of chess shows the playful mood of the lovers. They are enjoying themselves. They are talking to each other. They are teasing each other. So it is a happy experience, a happy moment for the couple. This is one significance of the game of chess. And what is the symbolic significance? Let us now read. The object or the objective of chess is to capture the king. Some of you play chess and you know that the object of chess is to capture the king. That at the simplest level is the symbolic significance of the game of chess. Prospero has caught the king Alonso, and punished him for his treachery. What is the meaning of treachery? His wrong actions. He has also maneuvered the different passengers of Alonso's ship around the island with the skill of a great chess player. What is the meaning of maneuvered? To control the actions of somebody or something. In this play also we see Prospero, through the use of his magic and with the help of Ariel and his minor workers, Prospero has tried to control the actions and the movement of the characters of the play like an efficient chess player. Prospero has used everyone as pawns. You call them pawns, the king, the horse, everything, the pawns as pawns. In this game, before the forgiveness and reconciliation, you have a chess board and you have the pawns. The players have to move the pawns in order to capture, checkmate the king. Here the king is Alonso and Prospero has done his checkmate quite successfully. This is the significance of the game of chess. Again, my interpretation and my length of the answer. The next one, let's see. Arna Debnath requested me to answer a question. The second one, the rational mind of Dr. Scott, Mrs. Saunders are in straight contrast to the sensitive mind of Klausner. In this answer, I'll have to prove with examples. And I'll have to write about Dr. Scott, number 1, number 2, Mrs. Saunders, and also about Klausner, number 3. So can I do this in just 50 words or 8 lines? I leave this to you. I leave this decision on you. I cannot do so, and therefore use my answer just as a reference material and adjust the length of your answer. Meena Gupta also wanted me to provide some of the points on the character sketch of Dr. Scott. Meena, I've tried to help you. Question 3. The rational mind of Dr. Scott and Mrs. Saunders are in straight contrast to the sensitive mind of Klausner. Prove with examples. Dr. Scott was the only person who Klausner seemed to trust. The doctor took the trouble to check on him at his house. The complicated looking innards of the sound machine made him inquisitive. He listened to Klausner's idea of sounds patiently, waited for him to go on, questioned him about the details of the machine. After listening to his theory, he bade goodbye and he promised to come sometime later. He was empathetic towards Klausner and tolerant of his strange ideas and eccentric behavior. Eccentric, mad, absurd behavior. He did not challenge the idea, the theory of sounds of Klausner. In this way, Dr. Scott was rational. He was rational in comparison to Klausner's sensitive mind. Next, Dr. Scott observed Klausner to be dreamy and distracted, having an immense distance as though the mind were far away from where the body was. Dr. Scott was a rational man and he observed the mannerism, the body language of Klausner. Klausner was obsessed with his machine. He was absent-minded. He was sensitive. So herein lies the contrast between Dr. Scott's rationality and the sensitive mind of Klausner. At the end, he agreed to paint the wound with iodine because he saw Klausner's fingers tighten around the handle of the axe. He did not want to annoy him, waited for him to come down and then led him away. Quite a wise thing to do at that point of time. So if you get a question about Dr. Scott only, write till here. Don't mention about Mrs. Saunders, no problem. The length of the answer will get adjusted automatically. But according to this question, I'll have to write about Mrs. Saunders as well. Mrs. Saunders too considered him to be a rather peculiar person, another rational judgment, completely gone crazy. She thought of humoring him by listening to his instructions. She ran up the garden to the house at the right moment without questioning the plausibility of Klausner's absurd ideas and obsession. Dear students, this is how you write your answers. If you have read the text, then this is going to be somewhat easy for you. Managing the time though is going to be difficult. Next, question 4. What are Babel and Nineveh? We are the music makers. What is the significance of these two in the poem? We are the music makers. First, describe Nineveh and Babel briefly, because you will have to mention the significance as well. Nineveh is an ancient Assyrian city of Upper Mesopotamia, modern-day Mosul in northern Iraq. Babel is Nimrod's city in Babylon, famous for the Tower of Babel, which was attempted to be built so high that God confounded its makers by causing them to speak in different tongues. You will get these references in any workbook or if you look for this in any search engine. Nineveh is depicted in the book of Jonah and the story of the Tower of Babel is explained in the book of Genesis. I have discussed about Babel and Nineveh as briefly as possible, and now I will focus on the significance. Through these two biblical allusions, O'Shaughnessy conveys the power that artists yielded through their writings. What is the significance? These are two biblical allusions. The figure of speech used, allusion, and the significance of the two biblical allusions. With their skills of lamenting, they wove the tragedy that was the end of Nineveh, and in merriment and delight was written the account of the Tower of Babel. They were able to use their power in constructive and destructive accounts of legend and lore, myths and legends. These two biblical allusions reinforce this point. If you have already seen our easy explanation video of the poem We Are the Music Makers, you will be able to understand these terms quite easily. Next, what do we have? This is question number 5. With despair, cold, sharp despair buried deep in her heart, like a wicked knife, Miss Meadows trod the cold corridor that led to the music hall. What is the significance of this? Despair. Catherine Mansfield's The Singing Lesson begins with Miss Meadows having a hard time dealing with her emotions. She is filled with despair, and it is stated in the question itself. And now the significance, the critical analysis. The first noun of the first line of the story is an emotion, and this emotion is given the metaphor of a knife. The pain of her broken engagement has made a scathing wound in her heart. What is the meaning of this new word, perhaps? Scathing? A deep, painful wound in her heart. She is hugging the knife, trying to hide her agony from others, her sadness from others. She is concerned about her public image. So the knife metaphorically stands for the sharpness of her emotional turmoil. She is hurt. Emotional turmoil, state of emotional disturbance, emotionally disturbed state of mind. The cold despair and cold corridors stand for lack of affection, joy in her life. Coldness is symbolic of the lack of warmth of affection, love and joy in Miss Meadows' life. This focuses on the interiority of Miss Meadows. Now I am sure that many of you will tell me, ma'am, what is the meaning of interiority? This is so complex. Yes, my dear students, this is complex, but you must know this term, interiority. Here, Catherine Mansfield deals with the interiority of Miss Meadows, the psychology of Miss Meadows, the complex emotions of Miss Meadows. Learn this word, interiority, and the nuances of her emotional response. The little details, the complex details of her emotional response along with the theme of despair. This is my answer once again. I hope you will like it and you will find this reference material useful. Very quickly, the last one. Ma'am, this is my humble request. Could you please make a video on types of figures of speech used in the poem Dhova Beach with examples? Lightning _AP requested me many times to provide an answer. Well, I am providing a material for you here. Literary devices used in Dhova Beach. Symbolism. The sea is symbolic of the sea of faith. The retreating tide is symbol of the loss of faith. The grating roar of pebbles and the naked shingles are symbolic of the disharmony in life and the grim chaos of a world devoid of faith. I have been using these words in my answers, and again the feedback is, ma'am, you use difficult words. Dear students, I cannot help it because these are complex texts And without these words, these answers will be incomplete. So lightning_app, AP, please have a look, and everyone else also go through this material. Simile. Lay like the folds of a bright girdle furled, to lie before us like a land of dreams. Examples of simile. Metaphor. The tide becomes a metaphor for human misery. Pathetic fallacy. The melancholy, long withdrawing roar of the sea of faith is an example of pathetic fallacy. Do check the easy explanation video at least once. There you will get a detailed analysis of this particular figure of speech. Grating onomatopoeia. Alliteration. To lie before us like a land of dreams. You do not need enjambment that much. Visual imagery, auditory imagery, just go through them, and I have uploaded an answer related to symbolism and another answer related to the imagery in Dhova beach. Check the playlist. This is the end of today's session.